We're pleased to welcome now Scott Hendrix, board member, Megapop, and director, Tombigbee Electric Power. Hey, Scott, thanks for coming on.
Good morning. Happy midday, Gerard. Good to be here.
Yes, sir. All right, so tell us about the Digital Innovation Conference coming up next week that is being conducted by Megapop. What's that all about?
So a little bit of history before we talk about digital innovation. Megapop was a great organization started years ago in North Mississippi to try to build consortiums, partnerships, and consensus to bring middle mile fiber to our area. You need the backbone to service what has happened since all the development of everybody else. So that was a partnership with cities and towns and organizations like C-Spire and now Tombigbee Fiber, and some of the electric co-ops, Prentice County Electric, Tombigbee Electric, North Mississippi Industrial Development, and others. So they created that organization with that goal and a secondary goal to educate. Now, the primary middle mile stuff has come a long way, and that goal is not as necessary as it once was because, frankly, a lot of people have conquered that task.
Yeah.
So the educational aspect becomes the primary point for Megapop at this stage. And so we started a couple of years ago on how do you do that. And it was a two-pronged approach, if you ask me, and the others may say differently, but there was an idea about having a conference to bring world-class speakers to our area to talk about exactly what it's named, digital innovation. Is it AI? Is it cybersecurity? All the hot button issues that affect each and every one of us today. But that's only one of the prongs. The other prong, what I'm more here to talk about today, was sort of my brainchild, is a way to get the youth involved. And so Morgan Baldwin, who's involved with Megapop and is the day-to-day guy, called me last year and said, what can we do for youth? And we took a concept that exists in the electric world where they have lineman rodeos and said, let's have a splicing rodeo. And he asked me, what is that? I said, I don't know. We just invented it. And so what we did last year, and we had about 20 kids from high schools come. I think the youngest was a 14-year-old young lady who was just amazing with what she did, and all the others were very talented. We invited them to come for a 3-round contest. We took Tombigbee staff, took Tombigbee equipment. Some equipment was brought in from a company called Elson Tech. That's one of our suppliers. And we put splicing in front of them. What is splicing? It's simply how you melt fiber together to make one piece so it can have connectivity. Right. But it is a key element of what we've done for communications. So we brought this process into place and invited these kids, taught them how to do it, and had a tournament. Very competitive, and I'll pause because I may be getting ahead of myself, but it's a wonderful way to involve our youth, to show them potential job opportunities. Frankly, for folks like me to get an opportunity to be the scout on the sidelines to see who's really good at this. So that's where it came from and where we got to. And I'd love to tell you more about how the contest went and how it works and what the program's about. But I'll pause there and see if I'm headed the right direction for you.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's really cool. And so this is something that sounds a bit unique. I mean, I learned about this from Morgan. And, of course, we're coming up there to do the show next week. And I've never seen a similar event anywhere else in the country, and I've been involved in the industry going back to the 80s.
I frankly think we pioneered it, but it was such a success. To see the kids come in and their excitement, they knew what fiber was. They did not know how to splice. And frankly, the 20 kids that participated last year left having a skill. Now, fiber splicing, I've done it, and it's really easy to do in my conference room, and I did a perfect splice my first time, and then I went out in the field and doing it in 110-degree Mississippi. That's a different story. So they've got a lot to learn, but these youth came in, and they now understand how to splice. So in the first round, we just did blind splicing, fiber to fiber, no real thought about it. How many can you do in a minute? And they were doing 6 to 8 in a minute by the time they were done, which is incredible.
That's awesome.
I'm more like one every 10 minutes, so they've got me beat. But that's not my job. And then the second round, we spliced on connectors to give them an apparatus so they could see how that worked. And we actually took in third round and had a splicing diagram. And for those that listen to us that don't have a clue what I'm talking about, so fiber comes in tubes. Each fiber is a different color. Each tube is a different color, and you have a map. And so you may take a blue tube of fiber and a red fiber in that blue tube and splice it to the yellow tube. It's color coded, but we gave them a diagram where they had to do three different fibers and get them right. And you had to do that as many times as you could with multiple diagrams. And it was amazing what these kids who had never touched it could do in a 10-15 minute window. And they were getting very high numbers, very high marks, and it had to be a good splice. A bad splice didn't count. The unit would tell you if it's good or bad. And so at the end of that, we were able to narrow it down to three award winners. We gave them scholarships. There is a fiber splicing program at the community college up in our area. And so we gave them scholarships to that program. And Gerard, the really cool thing is I've hired one of these kids. He works for me now in my electric department. I've interviewed 2 or 3 of these. I know C-Spire, who's also a member of Megapop and a sponsor of that, has hired one of these young men because they were there watching them too. They're this is like Ole Miss and Mississippi State being on the sidelines trying to pick. That's the quarterback I want in the future, and just a really cool opportunity. And the maturity of the people that wanted to do it, this skill, the dexterity, the mindset was just really nice. People think bad things about our youth, but we have some wonderful youth here in Mississippi, and I think it's good. Now, I'm college educated. I've got a law degree. I'm Ole Miss through and through, and that career's been great for me. But my dad never finished, barely finished high school and had a wonderful business. He was an electrician. My granddad worked for the highway department, running a motor grader, and my grandmother had a little country store. So there's a lot of people in Mississippi, even a lot of people in my family that came from a background of, I don't want to go to college. Well, you can get one of these fiber jobs and do really well for yourself. You can get same thing on the electric side. To be a lineman or to work for the co-op is a great job. But this is a new field. The co-op's been there 90 years, 95 years, depending on who you're talking to or which one. But that movement's been going on a long time. The fiber expansion has exploded, and you've been in the business industry. You know, you've seen it. But what's happened in the last 5 years is so exponential to what happened in the 25 years before that. And so for these high school kids that don't want to go to college, that want a good job, that want to stay in Mississippi, that want to make a living for their families, this is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And would you believe this year we have 70 youth registered
Wow.
for this event? I'm amazed. I don't know how we're going to handle all 70. We're going to have to add more rounds and more people. And Ole Miss is getting involved, and they're going to bring some splicing units over, and they're going to help us. We're going to expand and expand and expand. And hopefully my brethren in the co-op world will get more involved next year. C-Spire is going to be there. Some great sponsors. It's going to be a great event. And, back on the other side, we're going to educate you on all kind of stuff. We've got Nick Webb talking and Pablos Holman talking. They're going to, Pablos is maybe massacring his name. I hope not. I'll say Mr. Holman. He's a former hacker. That's the best guy to tell you how to do that sort of stuff. Or
No
how
doubt.
to stop that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And Nick Webb is a corporate strategist and a brilliant guy. And these are world-class speakers. So we're going to invite the high school kids to stick around for that. Some did last year, some didn't. So they get exposed to that. They get exposed to potential employers. Local businesses can come hear these things from these great people. And I hope they stop by and watch this splicing rodeo because it's just a great event. That we built some camaraderie amongst the kids. They liked working together. They worked a little bit as teams and learned from each other. And it wasn't cutthroat by any means, but it was so competitive. It was a wonderful thing to watch.
I tell you, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be good. I'm excited about the speakers you got lined up and all certainly timely topics to be discussing these days. And it's going to be a lot of information. Of course, lots of the value comes from just networking with others that are talking about all the same stuff, dealing with the same challenges, and also sharing their successes. So we look forward to it. Scott, thanks for coming on and informing us about the Megapop's Digital Innovation Conference coming up. That's going to be in Tupelo, right, next Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Wonderful opportunity, wonderful show. We really appreciate you. And if we can ever help you in any way, let us know. Take care. Have a great midday.
You bet. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. We're coming right back, folks, in the LMR.